We're gonna clap?
Yeah, in 3.
Wait, do we clap 3, 2, 1, go?
Yeah, the clap is like once we'll start.
Okay, but it comes 3, 2, 1, go. Clap, like 3, 2, 1, clap.
Yes, 3, 2, 1, clap.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Wow, that was beautiful. So, Clara, it's early morning where you are in LA.
It is. It is early morning.
What time is it there, 9?
It's actually, well, it's almost 10 now. I guess it's not that early.
Okay, it's actually not that. I mean, some people find that pretty fucking early.
That's true. I guess it depends what your schedule is looking like.
Yeah, if you're a morning person or a night owl.
Yeah.
So, oh god, I gotta stop saying I've been told that I keep saying that like a lot when I do these podcasts. So if I say it, you gotta oh fuck. Yeah.
I would have such a hard time with, and the minute you start thinking of not saying it, you're gonna say it.
Yeah, you're screwed. But I gotta say, it's interesting because, like, firstly, obviously, thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Oh, of course, honey, anytime.
But it's interesting because I was so excited to do this with you, but at the same time, I know it sounds weird, but I'm quite nervous.
I know, me too. Why am I nervous?
Can I tell you why I'm nervous? And then tell me if you agree.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm nervous because, like, I think of you basically as family. Like, if you called me at any time of the night or, like, at some crazy hour you needed something, like, I feel like I can trust you like family and I would be there for you.
Likewise.
Thank you. I'm glad we have that bond. But because I don't speak to you often, like maybe I speak to you a few times every year and we hang out at max, like a week a year, for example.
Yeah.
Then it's difficult because sometimes I feel like I don't know you on a daily basis. So even though I have that love for you, I'm like, I don't even know where to fucking begin when we speak sometimes.
Right. No, it's true. I get that too because there are such long stretches of time where so much happens, you know, in each of our individual lives that on a day-to-day basis we wouldn't know, you know? It is daunting. It's daunting to know where to start and because there's so many tangents to go down as well. Like, you know, like relationships, who are you dating, who are you sleeping with, or like, how's your parents, and like, where are you working, what are you doing like, which road do you go down? We need a map.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's so hard because like sometimes it can be overwhelming because I'm like, if I first see you or first have a conversation with you, I'm like, I want to engage with you and understand everything that's going on. But like you said, there's so many different roads to go down, so it can be overwhelming.
Yes, I agree. And especially right now with what's going on, there's so much else in the world. Just where do you even start with that? And yeah.
100%. There's a lot of ground to cover. I mean, obviously there's no pressure to cover like any particular like ground, or as long as we're like, it's nice to just be talking to you anyway, and like because I think we both have that kind of like love and respect for each other, it can only be a nice conversation.
It only ever has been, I think, you know?
Yeah, it's true. We've never really had actually no, I think we did. I feel like the only fight we had was when you were at Southampton.
We were 12 years old, and it was very dramatic.
I feel like I was super mean. At that age, girls can be like so mean.
I know listen, everyone was being mean. You were quite mean in that moment, but you're not a mean person.
It's all coming down. I'm gonna cry.
No, I was mean too. I also just got my mom to do the dirty work and got her to call you or call your mom.
Wait, I actually don't remember what happened, so can you tell me what happened? Did I send you something mean?
No, you know what? It wasn't even about you. I think it was one of your friends. And it became this kind of like, how, as you do when you're that age, you gang up on people, you know? Or even if it's just slight or whatever, it just ends up being 2 against 1 or whatever. And I think I was probably a bit jealous of your friend, and then it became like this tension, you know. So I don't even think, like, it wasn't even you being a dick, you know. I think it was just that, the dynamic of being 12 and us being in different schools and finding new friends and having those moments where we're like, but I'm still your best friend, and it's like, well, actually, she's my best friend now, and it's something that little, and it's like, in your 11-year-old mind, 12-year-old mind, that's like the biggest deal. But in reality, you just called someone else your best friend one time. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably what it was.
Wait, was it Sam Green? Did I call? So who did I call my best friend instead of you? I'm so sorry.
You should be.
Who was it though?
It was. Oh God, I don't know. Maybe Sam Green, because like I was always a bit intimidated.
I think, to be fair, I think so was I. Just thought she was cool, I think. But it's weird being that age where you have this kind of obsession of labeling certain people as like your best friend. You know, you feel like you need to be like, oh, Sarah, she's my best friend or whatever. You can't just have like mates.
What? And it's like you know, what happened to like, I don't know, at that age you don't have a concept where you can have more than one. It's like, no, you just... And you want to be that person's best friend and their one and only best, you know what I mean?
Yeah, God, I'm so glad I'm not 12 years old anymore.
Dude, it's exhausting. It's so exhausting.
It is so exhausting. But to give people an idea of when we started being friends and like the history between us and why we're like talking today, so we started hanging, we were at school together at Northbridge.
Yes.
And we were, what, like 10 or 12? I don't really remember how old we were when we started hanging out a lot.
We were going into we were getting close to our, what is it called? Those tests.
11 plus.
11 plus, yeah. Yeah. It was like a year before that. Or 2.
Yeah, we had both been selected to be in Canterbury Tales, like the school play that was with boys, and in that year we had been separated between boys, so we were both like, oh my God.
Older boys too.
Yes, older boys. They were sweet 13 years old.
Oh, it's ideal. It was amazing.
Ideal.
No, it was great. And yeah, we were all separated into different parts. I guess we'd hit puberty enough where they were like, ooh, let's separate them, which only made us more obsessed, I think. I was like, you know, whenever some of the professors' offices or the teachers' offices were in the boys' section of the school.
Yes! Yes.
And they'd be like, who wants to bring this note to, you know, and it was always like, me!
Yeah.
Walk, you know, you would just do your hair, and it was like...
Roll up your skirt.
Because you didn't see the opposite sex. Like, all of a sudden... You're all mixed, everything's normal, you're all mixed, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, nope, you guys are gonna start thinking about sex or something, let's separate you, and all of a sudden you don't even, we didn't even have, like, playtime at the same time.
Playtime, that's so sad.
Go to the park, we would pass them, I don't know, anyway, the whole thing was very interesting. I actually haven't thought about that in a while, the way that they separated us once we hit like 11.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think it was because like obviously our school was mixed until we were about 11, and then when we hit 11, the idea was that girls are more mature than boys, which, like, to be honest, I kind of love that theory because it's true at that age. It's true. And also girls have to get into secondary school in the UK slightly earlier than guys, whereas guys carry on to 13. So they separated us being like, okay, girls actually need to concentrate, whereas guys are going to carry on like farting and like saying stupid shit. I remember as well looking, just like staring at boys throughout like we had that stairwell, and there were like bars going down the window of this stairwell. Do you remember? We would like, I don't know if you remember, we would stare outside looking at the boys playing like Foursquare, being like, oh my God.
Oh God, Harrison and, oh God, James, what's his last name? If he's out there, would love to say hi. No, I'm kidding.
Milk something?
James Richardson.
Oh my God, it's just there in your memory, engraved.
It just flew back in. Oh man, that's so funny, those little crushes you have. They're so... I will never forget you running into school and being like, I have found the perfect song that describes Harrison.
The Chelsea Dagger.
By the Fratellis.
I know. What was your reaction to it? Because I feel like we obviously have bonded over that song.
That was, I thought it was the best song I'd ever heard.
Yeah, me too. I still hear it sometimes, especially when I'm like getting my nails done and it comes on and I'm like, Chelsea. Yeah.
I'm sure I have it on one of my playlists even.
Throwback playlist.
Sometimes it just swings back in, you know?
Yeah. And then since then, you moved to, you went to Southampton after Northbridge when you were about 11. I went to Francis Holland.
Yes, I went to Southampton
Yeah.
for a year, which was hands down the worst school experience of my life. You had a better one over at...
Yeah, I did, because I think Southampton, like my mum especially didn't want to send me there because it does have this reputation of being a bitchy school. Because like it's weird, most of the schools in London, private schools, are all girls, and that one was just particularly bitchy.
It was so hard. Yeah, that was just the worst. And I had told my mom, you know, anyway, I don't think she knew that or, you know, wasn't thinking that way or whatever. And I was like, I remember seeing like, I should have gone to Francis Holland.
Bro, you should have.
I know.
Now you know. I mean, there was still bitchiness. Like, I'm not even just saying that other people were bitchy. Like, I was bitchy at FHS. Like, it happened, just not to the same extent, I think, as Southampton.
Yeah, Southampton was like, I think it was next level. I mean, you know, I only had one friend there, Yasmin, and they were, God bless
So
her.
sad, bro.
I know, it's just me and her. We used to eat lunch with the pigeons. I'm not kidding. There were 2 pigeons. We named them George and Maison Blanc.
Of course you did. Frenchie.
But they would always come and hang with us at lunch. So that was... But they were hacking her Facebook and doing like... Or whatever. I think people started having... Or MySpace. Whatever it was. Bebo. God knows. But they were hacking that stuff. These girls. And like... I don't know. It was even when you went home, it wouldn't kind of stop, that kind of thing.
Do you think because obviously you went to high school in LA Crossroads?
Yeah.
Do you think, because in America, bullying in high school is obviously like Mean Girls, that movie and everything. I think America has a bigger reputation of bullying. Do you think that was, I mean, I don't know if you were bullied. I mean, no, I do. But do you think it was worse at Crossroads, the bitchiness, or do you think in London, being at a younger age, it was worse?
It's different. It's like bullying at those different ages can like tap into very different, I don't know, you know, issue or emotional parts of yourself. Like in Southampton, it was very blatant. It was to my face. I'd walk in with a new haircut and people would say, oh, I was gonna say something mean, but you know what? I decided not to. And like little comments like that, or like cutting me in the lunch line and being like, there's nothing you can do about it. Like literally that kind of, you know, and God knows what they said behind my back, but they weren't hiding it to my face. In high school, in middle school, or it continued for me, like girls didn't really like me very much in high school. I don't think it was, and not because I don't think going out there and being an asshole, but just there was always rumors floating around about me that were that's what I just didn't understand. I wasn't doing anything that could lead to these kind of rumors. Mm-hmm. But yet, till I graduated, it was rumors, and no one would say it to my face. Everyone was just like, oh my God, hi, you look so pretty, oh my God. And then you turn around and that's when it would start. So it was this different kind of, you didn't know who was going to be the one talking about you because there was this very, always overly nice exterior.
Right.
And it was to the point where in like high school, I was getting teachers coming up to me being like, listen, we're worried about you.
Really?
We hear that you're sleeping with 10 guys at the moment.
Oh, wait, what?
I was like, I'm in a committed relationship. I have no idea where that came from. Like shit like that. It was so outrageous. And you're just like, where are you pulling this stuff from? And so it was stuff like that, you know? I was in relationships throughout high school. I mean, I only had I was dating, you know, 2 people throughout high school.
Even if you weren't, yeah, it's sad that you even think that you have, like, not that you think, but like that it's kind of a mechanism for you to like jump in and defend yourself.
No, that's a very good point, because it automatically is. Still, at 24, I feel like I need to defend my actions that I did when I was 16, you know, that could portray me as a slut.
Oh, I hate that, because even if, first of all, that term is just like awful, and yeah, even if you were a quote-unquote slut,
I don't even know what it means anymore. Like
Me
what?
too. Should we Google it?
I like having sex. I'm in a relationship. I'm not going to go have sex with other people. I'm having sex with the person that I want. But when I'm single, I'm not sitting there like, it's not like I'm writing like engravings on the wall, counting the amount of people I've been with and like crossing it off and feeling horrible about myself. It's experience, and it's about what I want to do. You know what I mean? So what, like, it's so subjective. Who are you to claim someone else is promiscuous in that way? Not you, I just mean the general.
It's really crazy. I just googled slut and to find out the actual definition, because I thought it would be something like, you know, some negative promiscuous woman who has like negative feelings towards herself or something, and it's literally just a woman who has many casual sexual partners.
Wow, interesting. So it's not
Interesting.
It's literally, the term itself isn't derogatory, but it's just been completely turned into that, unless they defined the slang word slut as someone who has a lot of casual partners. I don't know. Did you get what I mean? Which way did it go?
Even if you define the term as a woman who has many sexual partners, that's not derogatory. It's only other people using that term.
The people's perception of that. Yes, you're right.
So you could say like, I'm a slut.
Yeah, sure. Same.
And I could say that and people would think, oh, you don't say that about yourself. And I'd be like, no, but if you know the definition.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm blowing my nose.
Honestly, blow your nose, it's hay fever season.
It really is. These morning allergies, you know?
To be fair, it does say a woman who has many casual sexual partners, and then the word next to it, I think in a category says derogatory, and then the second term is a woman who has low standards of cleanliness.
Cleanliness? Oh my god, so they're so men are unclean if they sleep. What is this? Unclean?
Yes, it's like, how long did you shower after he came in you?
My god, it's like, yes, I'm showering after I sleep with someone. I mean, I'm showering every day. Why? Oh my god, it's so strange. When you really look at these terms in the dictionary, it's actually interesting.
It is interesting. Sometimes I find that sometimes I want to use a word and then I'm like, is that actually an accurate way to express myself? And then I look it up and I'm like, okay, yeah, it is or it isn't. And I feel like that I've been more into trying to express myself in a clearer way as I've got older. I don't know if you get that.
Yeah, totally. And terminology, you know, is key. You know, using the right language for certain things.
Yeah, I agree. And so you were at Crossroads in LA, moved there.
And I did love Crossroads. It was a really great experience. There was always rumors tending to go around about me, but that didn't take away from the fact that I got such an amazing education and I met such amazing people and I loved my teachers. And
do you think that maybe people were like slandering you or like calling you bad names, obviously because your dad is famous?
I don't think anyone cared.
Right.
Just because, you know, LA is a one industry city. Like, it's Hollywood. And this school in particular, a lot of, I don't know. In LA, I just think if you grew up here, it's not, you just don't give a shit. I think you see it so much, maybe particularly in, you know, where I grew up in West LA, which is a very privileged white area, you know, which we should all just be aware of. So in that sense, I don't think no one really cared.
Right, so they just had it in for you.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, maybe I did something wrong. I'm not, but I don't think so, because I always hated drama, any kind of drama. I hate it. To this day, I don't want to, like, so I always was keeping my head down. I didn't want to be a part of any drama. I just didn't want anyone talking about me, but I still wanted to live my life, you know? Everything I did ended up, or didn't do, whichever, ended up being talked about in certain ways. And not that it was all about me, you know what I mean? But it was just like, it was weird having teachers come up to me repeating some of these rumors that were going on.
I know this is a cliche thing to say, but I genuinely think that in scenarios like that, it is jealousy, especially at that age. Like, for one reason or another, someone is jealous or someone, and they don't know how to express that when you're young, and so you just take it out as, oh, I'm going to pick on you.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's very possible, you know? I mean, I can understand that. I feel like I probably have done the same, you know? And whenever you feel insecure, that's when you tend to lash out. And this was high school. Like, listen, people are going to spread rumors, and whoever ends up at the butt of that week's, you know, rumor or joke or whatever, it's just, it rotates. It's how it,
Bless you. It is what it is.
It is what it is. And I was always very content having a small group of friends. And, I still am, just having a few people. That's all I need, and I was very happy doing that. And, you know, I wish all of them the best. There's no hard feelings. We were kids, you know? It was just a strange experience. I thought it would go away as I got older, but it seemed, obviously once I got to college, it wasn't a thing. But it followed me through high school, those just rumors or, that kind of stuff.
I feel like we are very similar as people in terms of what you just said about, like, you know, tend to kind of like having a small friendship group and being kind of solo within that. And even like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I feel like neither of us really enjoy like going out and like hanging out with loads of people, but like we both are quite into like bed by 10.
Yeah, that's ideal. Like, I love going to get some food or to, you know, go out with a few friends or like one friend or whoever, you know, just a small,
myself.
Just me. I just like going with myself. No, just with like, you know, 2 people, 3 people, whatever it is. And yeah, going home, walking the dog, putting the TV on.
Yeah.
You know, hanging with my man. That's just what I want to do.
So speaking of your man, I was going to ask you about this.
Yes.
Are you and Jimmy, you guys are still together?
We are, yeah.
Congrats. How many years have you guys been going out now?
It'll be 3 years in July.
Wow, that flew by.
I know, it really did. It really did. And I think that's a good sign, you know?
I agree. And how are you, like, I find this super interesting because you're bisexual.
Yes.
And I remember reading something on your Instagram page about you talking about how you've always been bi.
Yeah.
And when did you, because when we were growing up, I feel like when we were growing up as well, it's kind of like the social stereotype that girls only like boys, so you don't even really think about, maybe I like girls?
Yeah, you know, it's funny, like I start thinking about it because I was so fortunate and lucky to grow up in a very open-minded family and city. You know, even when I moved around, like from London to LA to New York, these places are, they're welcoming to different people, from all different walks of life and all of that. So I never faced, I don't know, it wasn't like I felt like, oh, I can't be that, but it was still definitely just programmed that when I was a kid that wasn't gonna be me for some reason. It's hard for me to just pinpoint why, but it was kind of like, I guess I always felt like I wasn't, and I don't know if this is the right term, but like I always felt a bit like an imposter, if that makes sense. I found myself always finding women very beautiful and wanting to look at them and just being kind of mesmerized by women in in a similar way that I want, when I got, and even very young, before it became sexual, I just loved looking at women, by the way, in a very unsexual way, but just, they're beautiful. And I always just thought women were beautiful. Anyway, so then growing up and then, starting having crushes on boys, I was just kind of, I don't know, I just was like, well, it's guys only, but like, I would find myself, like, when watching a movie or something, being just as interested or attracted to the female character as I was the man, you know? But in my head, I would just be like, that's just because women are beautiful. I just would, I was like, it's just because they're, of course you like looking at them. They're beautiful, And then I just, I think it was in high school, I just, I had like a moment with a girl,
How did that even come about? Like, because I do find that super interesting. I wouldn't even know, because I'm not even totally against like getting with girls or anything like that. It's just, I feel like the opportunity, and maybe it's me being blind to it, but I feel like the opportunity has never arose.
This one was more like there was a guy involved as well.
Okay, sounds fun.
It was very fun. So, you know what I mean? Like that gave me an in with, and also the girl probably wasn't interested in me in that way. We were just having fun and kind of exploring sexualities and ourselves and all of that. For me, I kind of walked away from it thinking, oh, I just kind of wish it had just been me and her.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, a little bit. Or like, it wasn't even about her. I wasn't necessarily falling in love with her. She was a very dear friend of mine at the time, and so I loved her. But it was, I didn't quite have that emotional thing yet. But I was, I knew that was something I was really interested in exploring, and I wanted to, I don't know, I wanted to be with women. I wanted to do that, but it took me a while, and it was I mainly have only been in relationships with men, which is interesting. My main long-term relationships have been with men. I have had relationships with women too. It's just, I don't know. It's just, for me, at the end of the day, what I really realized and why I think it was a bit confusing for me when I was younger is that it's completely about the person. I don't really care if you're a man or a woman, but I don't care at all if you're a man or a woman. I care about who I fall in love with, that person. So for me, it was like, I knew I was sexually attracted to both men and women, but I guess that to me didn't make me bisexual, just being sexually attracted to someone. It had to be emotional too. I realized as I kept wanting maybe to explore the more emotional side, and that happened naturally though, and that was just really based on the person.
I think that is really amazing, because I've thought a lot about bisexual, just like the idea of being bisexual and being attracted to men and women, because one of my best friends was talking to me about how she wanted to have like a sexual experience with a woman, and she hadn't ever had one, and we were talking about it a lot, and I was thinking, because a lot of people are really prejudiced towards bisexual people in the terms that they'll say it's greedy or whatever, which is crazy when you think about it, because if you, I find it kind of inspirational, as cringe as that sounds, to be bisexual, because like you said, if you can see a human being as their soul, as their character and who they are, rather than if they have a dick or a vagina, then that's like a whole new plane of romance and love that some people can't access.
Yeah, it does take away, you are looking more into someone, into who they are, as opposed to what's on the surface, I guess. And it does open more room for that level of emotional intimacy, which you can still get as a straight person, obviously. But it isn't, I like how you put that. It's a very beautiful way to put it. and it is nice. But yeah, so I don't know. I never, like I said, I never faced any. When I started talking about and coming out in college, which again wasn't a big thing for me. I just casually kind of told my parents, and my friends already kind of knew. It wasn't like an announcement. It was like, oh yeah, I've been dating a girl. I think that's just kind of how it happened, as I had been seeing a girl. And
Right, so it wasn't like a, hey mom, hey dad, can we like have a chat around the dinner table?
No, I'm pretty sure I went downstairs one morning and my mom was there, and I said, and she was like, what are you doing today? And I said, I'm going on a date with this girl. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I'm bi. And then Esther came down and was like, oh yeah, I'm bi too.
Oh, I love that. Sister, back up.
My mom was like, she just sometimes you need a second to process information. She's always been very supportive, but she was like, oh, okay. Okay. And then it was fine. With my dad, he was just like, he was ecstatic.
Oh, really? Why? He was ecstatic.
Loved the idea. He just was very supportive of it and happy that I could. It was all good. And I've had a very different experience than most queer people, queer or trans. I mean, I've had it really easy. And that's not the reality for most people. It's not, especially for the Black, queer, and trans community. That's a whole nother level. And literally for most people, that going out, just being themselves, is a protest. Pride is a protest.
Yeah, every day is like a fight for them. They're not just accepted.
And I was accepted immediately. I had it easy, which I'm very aware of and grateful for, and and aware that it's not most people's story.
I think as well, like you said, if you come from like, growing up in London, moving to LA, your family are in the creative industry, it's a very like liberal, accepting family and background that I guess you've come from. Yeah,
and going to a very liberal and accepting high school, in terms of that stuff. Just, yeah, these communities, it's just was very accepting. When I got into a relationship, in college, like when I had talked about being bi, but I never felt the need to like tell people I was dating, well, this is, I don't know, I put the term bisexual on it because I guess that was the term that best defined it at the time. There's probably a better term for it now, but to me it was just, it sounds so cheesy, but I just, love is love, and I just loved who I wanted to love or liked who I wanted to like, and it didn't. So it was never a conversation, but I remember talking to an ex of mine, and it became a jealousy point for him. He was a jealous, abusive man to begin with, but he would use it against me, and then he would say that I wanted it all. I wanted everyone, and I wanted everyone to want me, and it was all about ego and like control, and that it made me a slut, and it made me a whore because I wanted to fuck everyone. And then it became, well, that means you want to fuck all your girlfriends, so you shouldn't be able to see them, going down that road anyway with the controllingness. But he made me feel very guilty about being bisexual, about being attracted to a person as opposed to their sex. And so, I guess the right term is probably pansexual.
Is pansexual like you don't care about, like you love everyone, for it doesn't matter who they are, not just man or woman? Are we gonna hit up Google?
I think we might. I want to make sure that I'm
defining it right.
Yeah, because...
No, I agree.
Yeah, not limited in sexual choice with regarding to biological sex, gender, or gender identity.
So it could be bisexual as you can fancy men or women, and pansexual is like they could also be transgender, is that right?
I don't know if it brings... No, I think it's just, the thing is bisexuality implies there are two genders, whereas pansexual, you're not getting into the, it's not like you're saying I'm into men or women. It's like I'm into the person, and it has nothing to do, not limited to like their biological sex, gender, or gender identity, which means like, yeah, it's just anyone, sure, yeah, trans, anyone. I think that's what it is. So again, with terms, it's hard for me to define myself as something, and I don't know exactly how I would sum it up yet, and I don't know if I have to. I just, yeah, whether they're a man or a woman, trans, whatever, that doesn't matter to me. I care about who they are.
It is interesting as well, because I know like you and me have we've never really spoken about it, but I guess in a way that's a good thing, because it's something that I feel like in the day and age we live in, it shouldn't even be a conversation. In a way, it's just kind of like, that's just, like, I wouldn't have a conversation with you being like, oh, by the way, I fancy boys. You'd be like, great. You know, like, it doesn't change the way you think about me at all.
No, but also it's, the conversation is, it's interesting, and I think if people are, and I'm learning, I still, like, look at me, I just had to Google the right term. There's a lot of terms being thrown at me, and I am, I have to, like, sort through these things in my head and take them all, and I want to know exactly what they mean. I just don't know necessarily where I fit. Like, I've dated men and women. I am emotionally connected to a person, or, to who they are.
Do you even need to have a definition? No? Like, can't you just be yourself?
People ask, and I don't want to... Again, I don't know. It is complicated, but I also don't feel like I need a term, really. It's just about who you love, and I think terminology is very important, but for me personally, I'm not connected to one or the other right now.
Do you think when we went to because I kind of want to tell this story because it's just such a fucking funny story, when we went to Italy, which literally feels like in a different life, but do you think when we were in Italy at that point as well, you were also aware that it wasn't just boys that you fancied? I'm trying to get to, has this been with you, your whole life, or is it something that kind of like you in high school you realized after you had that sexual experience?
No, sure. I think I probably knew it back then, of course. I was just figuring out my sexuality. I think I knew. Yeah, I think I just was. I remember at that trip I was very into a boy.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, well, yeah, but my mind was definitely on men. But yeah, I've always been curious about it and always thinking about it, of course.
Yeah.
Going back to that story, because that was the first time I ever got drunk. Was that the first time you were ever drunk?
Yeah.
Was it?
It must have been. I think I might have had some wine like a few months prior.
A few months prior? Yeah, what a wild life you live.
It was wild. But yeah, we found this tiny little church in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of of endless fields in Sicily.
Sicily, yeah. I have terrible memory, but I remember that night so well.
Oh my god, me too. And they were having this little church, they were having a little party, and they were selling €1 beers. And we had about 2 beers, and we went to the bathroom.
Yes, I remember this. Wait, we were coming back. We were coming back from a dinner. By the way, I don't remember anything about that dinner that we came back from. Like, not at all.
Yeah, no, we were coming back from a dinner, and they just dropped us off.
No, we were No, bro. Let me get the facts straight. We were driving in a car back to the house. And as we were driving back, they had this church, and there were lots of kids, and there seemed to be like a party, and you and me were like, oh my god, a party, we should go.
Yes.
And then your mum was like, you're not going unless Paul, that older boy who I think was 18 and we were 13 at the time, was like, if he can go with you, then you can go.
He was... Oh, he wasn't 18, was he?
Maybe 17? He wasn't 16.
He was 17. 17. He was 17.
17, pushing 18.
And had a, anyway, long-term girlfriend, but whatever.
Oh my god! Woo!
Do you remember, we went to the church, we had one beer, had a second beer, and they were selling these beers to like 5-year-olds, like it wasn't hard.
Yeah, I didn't care.
Didn't care. And then I remember drinking it, and at the end of the second beer, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I thought people get drunk. Like, how does this happen? Open the third beer.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Went to the toilet, and I remember that first look where you were sitting on the toilet, and I look in the mirror, I look at myself, and I go, oh, damn, I'm drunk.
Yeah, it hit us. It definitely, we were like, we're fine, what the hell? And then we walked in there, and it's always when you go into the bathroom to pee.
Yeah, that's when it hits you. Yeah, I remember. That was a wild night.
That was crazy.
Yeah, and then walking on that country road back, like taking our clothes off. Oh my god.
Yeah, oh my god.
I know, remember we were taking off our dress?
I was more wild at 13 than I probably have been in college.
You were wild. I remember all the kind of like holidays and stuff that we've had that like I've had the most fun with you because I feel like you have a very similar, I don't know if it's still true today, but like you have a very similar like fuck it, whatever, let's just do it.
We need to do a trip soon because we just like, yeah, I still really believe we would travel so well together and we're on the same page. Like, it wouldn't be like going to travel with someone who's like, let's go rage till 4 a.m. and you're like, what? I want to go to bed. Like, you know, we're on the same wavelength with that stuff, which I think when you're traveling with someone is...
I agree. But to be honest, I think that, I mean, obviously you and Jimmy are like very happy together right now and hopefully you guys, you know, stay happy forever. But I do think we would have more fun if we were single.
Classic single friend thing to say right there. You know, I do think.
Like, obviously stay with your boyfriend of 3 years. Like, I'm super happy with about you two. But I do think that if you guys ever break up, then we go on that trip. I mean, we should go on that trip anyway.
Listen, let me tell you, I am a fantastic wing woman.
Fine.
Fantastic. Really. I'll, you know.
No, I believe you. And like, you know, I totally believe you. Just there is a certain like more, even my friends who are in relationships in London, like I talk to them about it and sometimes it is more fun when you're both single and you can both kind of help each other out. That's just all I'm saying.
Then you can go on the pole together.
Go on the pool, mate. What are you, some character from the In-Betweeners?
Watching Geordie Shore.
Oh, what, you love that?
I love the Geordie Shore.
It is good. Proper trash TV.
Oh, love some trashy TV. And that's a perfect example, that show, of how they all have more fun when they're all single. I understand where you're coming from.
So yeah, I also wanted to talk about, so obviously now your main focus is acting.
Yes.
And you've been in Reefer. I did a little bit of research. You were in a film called Maestro, is that right?
Ooh, yes. These ones haven't come out yet. They're almost there. So Maestro was a film I did with my friend Ava. And it was the best experience. It's a beautiful little film. And about a composer, and I play a journalist that is going to interview him. A conductor. You know, with the stick.
Yeah, with the stick. You sound like you really aced that research of the role with the stick.
It's been a while. I know it was. I don't know what they. Listen, I wasn't the one conducting. But no, it's such a beautiful script, and I always love working with female directors. In fact, I mainly only have. So especially this past year, except for Jimmy, it's been all female directors. So and Ava's a force, you know, she's amazing. So that was great. And I played opposite Karel Dobry, who's a Czech. He's from the Czech Republic. He's one of the most incredible actors I think I've ever seen act on TV or in real life, and he when you're acting with someone that good, it makes your job really easy. It just brings it out of you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of the greatest experiences of my career thus far.
And how do you find it? Because like from a couple of years ago when I was talking to you and speaking to you on Instagram and stuff, modeling was like your main gig. Was that how you were getting into acting, or did you think for a bit I want to try the modeling thing?
No, I never intended to be a model, or that was never a long-term thing. I was in college when I started modeling. It was good money. I didn't have time to commit to a full acting class yet and really get into that because I was still finishing up school. So it was a good way for me to make some money, travel, meet people, and I was kind of fascinated by the whole world. And then I'm not so much anymore. You know, it was not for me, and I'm happy to do it, you know, to keep doing it. I just don't want it to be my entire life. And I'm certainly like it's so crazy. It's like the minute you're not a size 0, you're not booking anymore. Really? Not as much, no. So I'm not interested in, unless you're very tall, obviously, for my height. I was very thin when I started because honestly I was in a rough place in my life and I'd lost a bunch of weight. So that worked great for them, but then I started getting happy again and getting like my hips back and my thighs back. That wasn't so great for them anymore.
Do you think that really is true? Because like a lot of people now are kind of talking about like, oh, the modeling world is changing and catching up with women gaining weight.
It's definitely changing. Right. I was at the wrong agency, and I'm now at a much better agency. I'm with Supreme Management, and I don't feel that pressure anymore. I'm also not putting the pressure on myself to try and be working a bunch. So I do it when it happens. I'm in much better hands now. I trust the people that I'm in this agency with, and they have me do interesting things. Like I'm working on their Pride month video with a few of their talents, which I'm directing, and Esther and I will be in.
Oh, that's cool. You're directing it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I like that. So they give me interesting things to do that isn't just standing in front of a camera, which there is nothing wrong with. But like I was always interested in doing other stuff, and you know, so that's a much better place. The place I was at before was just it's not the place to be. It was very old school. And I could see the fashion industry changing and being more accepting. But I am not entirely, by the way. And they have a lot of work to do when it comes to being inclusive and equal. I mean, it's a very racist, systematic racist industry at its core, I think, often as well. So they have a lot of work to do, but there was changes, and I just wasn't seeing that where I was at.
It is interesting because like the whole modeling industry, I mean, I don't know about the movie industry, but like modeling, when I was younger, and I talked to my mum about it because my mum was a makeup artist, and she would talk about models, and I kind of knew models as a reputation as being like super glamorous and like these people that you could never be, you know, unless you were like 6 foot and like a rake. So I wonder if like the glamour of modeling will decrease because now they're trying to be more like relatable, and I think it's a good thing, you know, 100%, especially for women being like, oh, now you can actually see yourself, or like now you can, you know, there are women who represent you.
There was a sense of unobtainable. Oh fuck, what's the word?
I think it's unattainable. I don't know, unattainability.
Models were they were unrelatable to most of the world, but that was what drew people to them or whatever, you know. But I think that is changing, and I think what we need right now more than ever is relatability, and for young women especially to see themselves represented in billboards and posters and ads. I mean, we're getting blasted with so much content and so much advertisement all the time. And when you're growing up and you don't see yourself represented, and especially, like, I'm going to bring this up again, like, as a black woman in the States, like, you're not seeing yourself represented in billboards or in TV or in, you know, fashion nearly as much. You're seeing a bunch of white women with blonde hair and blue eyes, and that's the standard of beauty. And so when you're a kid, then that's completely screwed up. I was watching this video of this experiment they did with younger black children, putting two dolls next to them, like a white doll and a black doll, and which one they thought was prettier and which one they thought was better and which one they would pick. And they were all picking the doll that didn't look like them. They were picking the white doll with the blue eyes.
Right.
Because that's what they've, at that young age, society has already shown them that you're only valid if you have white skin and this kind of standard beauty. And seeing women who aren't, you know, perfectly in shape or like super skinny, but like have different body types and different ethnicities. I mean, I think that's why it's important now. We have to, listen, back in the 90s, you were opening magazines to see it, or maybe sometimes seeing a billboard once in a while. You know what I mean? We weren't taking in as much content, so it wasn't maybe necessarily as detrimental as it could be now. When you're really young and you're seeing that stuff, like even Anouk, my you know, little sister started talking about her stomach the other day, and she's 9.
Really?
And I was like, my love, like, what are you doing? And my mom did remind me that at 6 years old, I was talking about my thighs.
Really?
And I didn't remember that.
Wow.
You know, we're so aware at such a young age, like, why not, like, you know, the people we see on billboards shouldn't represent, it should represent the people and what makes up this country or, you know, wherever we're at, instead of this like elite 0.03% of people.
Yeah.
Or then on top of that, photoshopped. And
I think that's a really, really good point. The fact that like now we're literally, as soon as you wake up, we're bombarded by content and images and etc. So we're at much higher risk to be affected by that for our mental health and everything. And it's interesting because now even girls I follow who used to be, you know, they say that they used to kind of like starve themselves or not eat or exercise loads, and now because of how things are changing, they're more accepting of like their natural body and they can eat healthy or whatever, and they've changed shape. And it's actually really like inspiring and nice to see that pressure is lifting somewhat.
yeah, and I think it does, and it has been lifted to a certain extent, you know, for sure, especially when it comes to body type and, you know, finding beauty in all body types. And you see brands like Parade, for example, they're an underwear brand out here in America, and their models are from every single body type, every single ethnicity, every single, you know, sexual preference, all of this stuff. And it's beautiful to see. And I love seeing that because when you even look on the comments underneath that, so many women are like, thank you. I feel seen. Like, this is what I look like, you know? And it's in a commercial on Instagram, or, you know, it's in an ad. And that changes everything, I think. It can really change a lot. And the thing is in America, anyway, and I think everywhere, you know, corporations make money off of shaming people. So the minute, like, you know, you'll see an ad to make your, I don't know, your ears smaller. And you're like, what? My ear should be smaller? And all of a sudden, you're self-conscious about your ears being too big, and you're going to go spend money to get your ears made smaller when you never thought there was an issue with your ears. Or they're going to make you feel so bad about being a woman and not being a size 0. You're going to go on a shopping spree and spend all of this money on skinny pills and probably purses to make you feel better. You know what I mean?
Yes, I totally know what you mean. I think at the same time there is a level that you know, fortunately you and me are both educated, and we both come from, you know, we both have great parents and great mums and stuff, and I think there is a level of everybody needs to self-educate themselves to realize that, you know, if you buy X, Y, and Z, you're not going to be happier, you're not going to be blah, and to be aware that we live in a capitalist society and adverts, they're playing mental tricks on you.
They really are, and I think it just feels like it's getting harder because they're so manipulative. Now, like, just scrolling through Instagram, I'm finding myself shopping. Like, with the fucking shopping ads, it's like these really cute underwear sets. I'm like, oh, I need that. That'll make me... But I know better. I know that it's not going to make me any happier. But in that moment, it's almost like getting a little high from it. It's terrible.
I know.
This consumerist culture that I'm 100% a part of. Like, I'm deep into it, and it's something I'm trying to be more aware of, but, like, my God, like, I fall for shit all the time. Me and Esther will see, like, we got these rice cookers from Instagram.
To be fair, rice cookers is pretty helpful.
Yes. How often do we use the rice cookers? Not enough. But, like, makes you feel like, oh, this is so necessary.
Completely. But this has been around for like, I think forever. In the 1920s, advertising became from, oh, you should buy a mop because you made a mess, to you need a mop because it will make you the best housewife. And then that's when it transitioned. And now it's just like a fucking overload of buy this and on your phone. And yeah, it's overwhelming.
We still have a similar thing. It was like, buy this to please your husband.
Yes.
To make your husband's home feel homey, you know?
Yes.
Be a good wife. And now, on the cover of Cosmo and stuff, it's 10 ways to please your man in bed. And 10 ways to be, like, the best girlfriend and all this stuff. We're still in this thing of how do we please men? Are they still considered the greater sex? Like, they are, you know? And all of it is, everything in itself is like, how do we keep men happy? A lot of the time, a lot of these ads.
Yeah, I know, and it's so sad. I feel like, you know, like, we should wrap it up soon to be talking for an hour, but I feel like I could talk about this with you for so long, because on that topic of trying to please men, like, I don't know about you, but like becoming 24 and like being, you know, I'm not with my long-term boyfriend anymore, and like having time, being single, being independent, and learning more about myself, and just reading more and yeah, being independent, you kind of start to realize like, wow, it's actually so fucked how much when we're little girls, we're trained to think like, oh, you should wear that because the guy will like it, or you should say that because he'll think it's funny, and it's just so detrimental to who you are as a person.
Yeah, it's really, oh my God, it ends up dictating your life at that age, because I found myself being insecure at that age, and you're young and you're figuring stuff out, and you get validation from people being interested in you, and especially men, and then it's, oh man, yeah, it's like becomes all encompassing, you know?
Yeah, you can lose yourself, you can derail, you can lose yourself, and you have to literally retrain your brain to be like, you have to think like, oh, why am I doing that around him? Is that because... And then
being able to walk out of the house not wearing makeup and not caring.
Yes.
That's when I knew I was kind of coming into myself, and that only was very recent. And I'm still not perfect about it, but like, I would rather not wear makeup going out of the house. And that was not how it used to be. I felt like I needed everything. And I needed cover up even on places I didn't have pimples. And yeah, that has a lot to do with my skin clearing up and shit like that. But like, my God, it's so freeing when you can get to that point. It's not fully free, but it's that getting older and being like, I don't care. I'm not gonna make my ass all tight and cute, you know, in these pants and put makeup on just in case I run into a cute guy or a cute girl in the grocery store. Like, I don't, and also I'm in a relationship, of course, that's a thing. I'm not out there looking for people, but even when I was single, I I don't care.
I completely agree with you, and that it is freeing. I think that's a good word to describe it. And freeing to when I think you get to a point, and obviously it's difficult. And I think young women are constantly trying to work on it, especially because it's made harder by social media and sexism.
Constantly being made harder every day.
Yes, it is. It's difficult, but trying to remind yourself that, like, oh yeah, I am good enough, and I actually do love myself, and I accept myself. And then when you can be yourself, it's funny because you actually end up being more attractive anyway when you are like that.
That's the key to it all, is like when you see a woman who's really confident in her skin, it doesn't matter what she looks like, she's just sexy.
She's sexy. It's exactly that. You're so sexy if you're just like, I love myself, this is who I am, I love my body.
No one tells you that, and you certainly don't have any reason to believe it until you feel it yourself, you know what I mean?
Yes, it is confidence. Like, even from speaking to guys, like, it's funny because you're trained to think that, like, oh, he'll like me when my skin is perfect, or oh, he'll like me when I have, perfect hair and all this shit. But it's just like, if you're confident,
think that it's all good whether you have the imperfections or not, you know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, wow.
Wow, well, that flew by.
That did fly by. By the way, I have no idea where, like, my eye line for this, in this video, I'm, like, kind of looking at myself in the camera half the time, half looking out the window.
Oh, that's totally fine. What are you up to for the rest of today?
I'm gonna go to a protest later.
Nice. Are they still happening in LA?
Yes, very much so. There's a very big one tomorrow, which will be the Pride March, but also Black Lives Matter. Kind of, showing our support as it being Pride Month and everything. We wouldn't, as the LGBTQA plus and beyond community, wouldn't be where they were if it weren't for Black, queer, and trans activists like Marsha P. Johnson and Audre Lorde and stuff. And there were the Stonewall riots in 1969 in New York, which around this month, actually, which is why Pride started. The Pride March started on the anniversary of the Stonewall riots, which, people, the queer community was demanding their rights, and it's, I don't know, it's very interesting seeing everything unfold and how the queer and trans community is and must back the Black Lives Matter movement, because we would not be where we are without them.
Yeah.
Yeah, big weekend.
For people who want to stay up to date with Clara's Insta and, all that stuff, it's just Clara McGregor, right?
That's it.
I'm going to give you a cheeky plug. So follow Clara McGregor on Insta. Are you going to be posting about the protest?
Yes, I'm always updating about all of that.
Yeah. Your Insta is it's pretty. I admire your Instagram right now. You're very on it, which is, I think, an amazing thing to do. All right, well, I'm gonna stop recording.
Yes, me too.